install the Belmont shingle?
All right, we got the Certainteed Belmont shingles out here today.
Zoom in on that.
So we're going to show you how to install these bad boys. First, you got your starter rub. Line these bad boys up. Imagine this is the roof. You're going to have it usually 3/4 over, right, of the front. Next, these are 9-inch tabs. So we want 4.5 inch in the middle. So, line these bad boys up like this. Then you would get, well, first, you would nail these all high. Nail here, here.
Just a note, you're not really supposed to nail them high, but because of the fact that you could potentially nail in the nail slot, what we do is typically nail it high and then go back and lift the tabs up so that we know we're not nailing in a seam where it would leak. The idea is that you nail lower so that the shingle is less likely to blow off. If you nail higher, then the potential for the wind to pull that starter shingle up is easier. So nailing lower gives more wind resistance to the starter shingle.
Here, here, nail them all high. Then, you're going to come in like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 would be your nails. Can you pass me that other shingle there, Mr. Dean?
Vanna White, you mean?
And your next row, you want to come right to the top of this bad boy. You don't want anything else exposed. The top of this round, this curve, you want right at the bottom of this guy. Obviously, we would have lines going up the roof here and horizontally as well. So you just have to use your imagination.
And that's an 8-inch exposure?
It is, correct. 8 inches. And what else can we say? We like to put 2 nails on the top of here. We feel like that is sturdy, right, Dean?
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
And it's not even recommended, but it's what we do to keep the shingles from blowing off. One other thing I like about the shingle is, there's a Highland slate shingle, and it's kind of in a lower version of this, which is missing this dimension. And then the next step up to this shingle is called the Grand Manor shingle, and that has more dimension built into it. So this is like the middle ground shingle between Certainteed's Highland slate and their Grand Manor, which is their highest asphalt shingle offering. And this we were waiting for years for them to develop this. We kind of had a small part in the I guess pushing for this middle ground shingle, and we put a ton of these on. Looks really awesome. We'll put it in the video to show you what it looks like on the roof. But I mean, there's just a laminate piece that's on top of basically a strip shingle, and it's sealed together, right? But this gives you like a nice dimension without the huge cost for the next step up with the Grand Manor shingle. And it goes on like a old 3-tab shingle. You can't do this, where the pick lines meet up. They can't meet up. It's a 4.5-inch offset, and then you can actually start this roof right in the middle of the house. And one guy, as long as you do 4.5 this way, then you bring it back and forth, all the way up the roof towards the center. You can work your way left and right. But what you want to make sure is that you don't have a stupid little piece off the edge of the roof like this big, because it can blow off. So you want to kind of do some measurements if you're just going to like guess and start in a certain spot in the middle of the roof. You almost want to just pre-cut these at the 4.5-inch piece and start on one side or the other. But it can still happen if you start 4.5 and you get to the other side of the roof and you got this dumb little piece hanging off the side that can blow off. So you gotta do some math. I know math is hard for roofers, but if you can figure out the math, you don't have to deal with the nightmare at the end of the roof having just a little piece blow off and have warranty calls. Same thing with 3-tab shingles. I don't know if anyone ever puts them on still. What else with the shingle? So valleys on here can be weaved in, or cross-cut valley, or whatever you want to call it. But we don't like to sell it that way. We'd rather see an open valley made out of metal, copper, aluminum, something. We just don't believe that you're going to spend the extra money on this, you're going to spend the extra money on some metal valleys.
Yeah.
And actually, I think we'd tell you to go screw yourself if you asked us to do it in this type of. I don't know if you can zoom in on this. It has it right on the paperwork, or right on the back of the wrapper. Also, one thing that you want to make sure is that you have the big enough step flashing.
Yep.
Because this is a bigger shingle. So what are you guys doing? 12-inch step flashing? Sometimes we're doubling them up.
Yeah.
In order to make sure that there's not going to be any leaks, because you got an 8-inch exposure shingle.
Yeah.
And because you have an 8-inch exposure shingle, you need this bigger step flashing in order for it not to leak down the wall.
Your average step flashing would be about here for a normal roof.
5x7, 5x8.
So you're gonna get the big boy.
You're gonna get the 12-inch, or you're gonna have to. If you don't, you just have to double up. One of the things that we found with the shingle also is that if it's cut on the end and you have a step flashing, it'll kind of show through underneath. So what we like to do is either use a black step flashing, or if we have to, we'll if it's a silver step flashing, we'll lift this up and put some ice shield under here and fold it back down.
So it's black.
And so you can't see the shining silver stuff coming through. And there are 4 bundles to a square.
Yep.
So you roofers get an extra step in your life is your shitty job.
How about the hips?
Hips are what?
So you got a 8-inch exposure on your hips, 12-inch long hip itself.
What are we using here? Cedar crest or?
Correct. Yeah.
What are they? Cedar crest?
Correct. Yes.
Pretty sure.
Yeah. I just looked at the wrapper. Yeah.
So there's Shadow Ridge that we use on regular shingles, Cedar Crest that we're using on here, and then there's called Shingle Ridge, which is the next step up. The Shingle Ridge are super expensive, super thick, and most people don't want to buy them unless they're doing Grand Manors. They look kind of cool, but these are what come. They're like a 2-part, right?
Yep.
And nail the shit out of them.
Yep. Normally you would have your next shingle come starting right where this gets a little bit darker. So you would have your it stop right here, just like that.
So you have a shadow line.
You're gonna nail here, 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 here. So you would still have that shadow line like he was saying,
And you continue that onto the roof. And the reason they keep this side open is so that when it's cold out, you can kind of do this. And if they were to put a tar strip here, you wouldn't be able to hold them like this on the hip. So it depends on the pitch of the roof. It could be like that, which is a wall, which hopefully we never work on, to this. So that's basically the shingle, right?
Yep. Now go put it on.
Now get to work.
The lines being straight up and down, So like, try and get a view from like here,